Hey, what's up guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Gemstone Legends. So the heroes are now available from the new faction, Stellar Dynasty, and they're in the altar right now. You can get Virgo and Capri as well as the other epic heroes right now. And one quick PSA, and that is these heroes can only be obtained from Astral Scroll, different from your gold, platinum, and even diamond scrolls. All right. So I've heard stories of people actively pulling for them using those scrolls and not getting them. Unfortunately, they are not part of that pool. So this way, hopefully, if you have not opened them yet, save your scrolls for the next event where there's going to be new heroes that come out that will be in the part of the pool so that you can actually get them. And the other thing that I want to call out is that this is a test account. So Streetball Games helped me out by setting up a test account so that I can get access to the heroes so that I can actually showcase them to you and make some content. I do want to, pull for these heroes myself in the future. And as I get them, I will use them in arena and etc. But for now, what I wanted to do is talk about the various different heroes now that they're available so I can make some content. So thanks to Streetball for helping out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using these heroes in the campaign. I'm not going to be using it in arena or any other places that could impact anyone else's games, and so this is strictly going to be just in campaign. But I think it's still going to be okay for me to showcase the heroes. We can take a look at the animations, how they work together, and we can try out the different combinations and see what they're like. So let's get started. All right, so I'm going to put this up here. Reminder that this is a test account. So at the end of my testing and making these videos, the account is going to get wiped. So what they did is they also, in addition to give me the new Stellar Dynasty Heroes to play with, they also copied over the heroes I do have so that I can do some mix and matching using the gears so I can simulate what it's like with a full setup. And so we're going to go into an Inferno fight right now, and let's take a look at Virgo in action. So the first thing, if you take a look at her starting ability, she actually has a passive ability that will give an ally, mana. Okay, so every single turn, and this is regardless of which turn, you'll pay attention to every time a turn ends. You're going to see her give mana to an ally, and that is really helpful because over time you're going to be able to help your ally just get more mana. Okay, so you're going to see it once again. She gives mana, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm also going to give Zarkon a protective shield, and so it's going to basically give him double the health. Okay, so you can see 76,000 health now for this. So even though he's a dark hero, he is going to get so much health that it's not going to be an issue when the enemies attack him. Okay, and so what we're going to do right now is I'm also going to show you what it's like when I have the same skill applied to Necros. So Necros has 51,000 and he's going to jump up to 102,000. We're hitting over 100,000 now, okay, for in terms of health. Now I'm going to go ahead and do more matches, and let's take a look and see what happens with Zarkon every turn, okay? So you'll notice that even on enemy's turn, I am giving mana, but because there is so much protective shield on my Zarkon now, even though he's typically a much weaker hero, they could not quite damage him enough to take him out. Usually in these Inferno fights, that's sort of the concern is when the enemies have too many turns, they end up taking out, they can end up taking out one of your heroes because they are so strong. Okay, and with the protective shield, you are basically covered. Okay, now the other thing that you'll notice with Virgo, which we didn't see, is that with her ability, she actually will also at the beginning of her turn just randomly pick one of the skills, and then it will also be the counter will be increased by 2. So that's the other part of her passive ability. And when you activate her skill, you'll notice that everybody gets Vampirism and everybody gets Color Master. So everybody's going to get a little bit more ability to deal damage to the enemies. And you'll also be able to heal a little bit whenever you attack. Now you can replenish the protective gear anytime. It's always going to be based on max health rather than current health. So it makes her a really strong support hero to have, and she's going to help keep your enemies alive so much easier. It is pretty insane how it works out. Okay, so I think that she's really strong. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about sort of just the basics of a Stellar Dynasty hero before I move on. And I think this is important to just kind of go over. The first thing is speed. Because they have faster base speed, it's a 269. If you give them speed boots, it's going to always help them out. So being faster is always going to be good. And for her, the other thing to think about is that mana gain is something that is going to be low in the beginning for passive ability, but as you increase their passive ability, their mana gain is going to actually be not as bad. Okay, and so with Virgo, if you max out her passive ability, you can actually get her passive ability to 17, and then with 3 of the caster sets, you can then bump it up to 20. So something to think about how you can make her a little bit stronger by looking at the mana gain. This is going to be a key for all of these type of heroes because they will benefit from having increased passive ability. All right, so what I've done here now is I've entered a battle with Capri, our next hero I'm going to showcase, and I went into the second round here because I wanted Caleb to be available. And what Caleb does is he will actually taunt, and one of the passive abilities of Capri is that he actually ignores taunt. We have a hero that will now ignore taunt and provoke, okay, as a passive ability, and with his active skill, he's going to actually deal damage 3 times. He's going to hit you 3 times total. And then what's going to happen is he is going to stun you. He'll stun you, and then he will basically deal more damage to you, and then he's going to continue to hit you, and then he will ignore any of the taunting tanks that are in the way, and he'll continue to hit you. It is pretty nasty. All right, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a little bit later. We're probably going to lose Perrin, but that's okay. The goal here is I would just want to show you the skill of Capri. All right, so Capri, again, his active ability, he is going to attack you 3 times based on defense. So you want to have high defense, and that is why having Gera is going to be useful. Gera is going to allow you to allow Capri to get more damage output. So if you take a look at his loadout right now, so he's got basically, the Crusher set with defense boosted, and he's got almost 200 critical damage, and he also gives himself increased defense as a leader ability. And so having Gera on the team, boosting his defense to almost 8,000, he's going to be a pretty good powerhouse here. So we're going to go ahead and do this again. And so you'll notice that as I'm using his skill, I can attack someone that is not actually taunted, right? So you can select anyone to attack here. When I selected him, he just went ahead and attacked somebody. It is pretty good. Okay, so you can choose to bypass any protection that your opponent has and just go ahead and try to hit them. And he can match gems 4 times. That means you can increase his abilities to get the mana gain, and then you can just continue to do attacks. And when you stun him, an enemy on the first attack, then he's going to deal more attack afterwards because of his passive ability that deals more damage on a taunted hero. So all in all, he may not be a sniping hero that is going to deal like tremendous single damage output, but he can dish out hits pretty well. Okay, so if you take a look again, 3 times just on this, this is without defense down, without vulnerability. This is just him boosting himself and dealing a ton of damage already. So he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. You have to take care of him before he takes care of you, because there's no way to stop him from hitting your weakest units. All right, and last but not least, we've got Scorpio. So Scorpius is going to be the hero that is going to be our third one here, and she is going to be one of the few heroes that deals damage based on something we don't normally use. First one that deals damage really based on accuracy, and so we've got Gabriella that does damage based on resistance. Scorpius is going to deal damage based on accuracy, and she's going to hit what we call Soul Corruption. Soul Corruption is something that is new. It's a new status, and I'm going to show you what that is right now. And if you use a skill, what she's going to do is she's actually going to deal damage to a single enemy based on accuracy, and then she's going to apply Soul Corruption. But notice that everyone else got hit too, because her ability also deals slightly lower damage to everyone else and applies Soul Corruption to them as well. So it actually makes her an AoE attacker. And so if we take a look at Soul Corruption, it is a new stat that is introduced here, and it reduces the amount of mana gained from all sources by 25%. And so this means from gem matches, from skills, from statuses, wherever it comes from, it's going to be reduced 25%. Now imagine this is coupled with mana choke, okay? That is going to make your mana gain really, really slow, especially if you are already one that is a slow mana gain producer. Now, in terms of her loadout, one of the things I did is I focused on her cursed set, but I tried to balance it out a little bit. So I ended up putting a little bit more of the critical damage on her. Okay, and because I needed to do that with the gears I had, it worked out this way. But I think the best is to have all cursed sets with good critical damage, so you can still deal damage based on her ability. All right, and she works well with heroes that can have accuracy as leader bonus, and Streetbach with his active skill to actually do accuracy as well is all going to help out. She does help herself if you don't have Streetbach still, like her passive ability gives her increased accuracy whenever she gets hit by a by a special ability, and she also will have a ability to inflict poison on everyone at the beginning of her turn. She's an assassin, just par for the course. And this is the key thing that I wanted to call out. You're not going to see this here really, but all healing effect on enemies as long as she's alive is going to be reduced by 40%. So if you're up against like an enemy like Helica, well, her healing is just now shaved by 40%. Also Guinevere, all these heroes that will heal, they're going to be less effective now as long as she's alive. A little bit similar to Necros, except Necros will impact revive for all. This one only impacts enemies. And so she's actually pretty strong in this case. She's kind of like this kind of assassin that is focused on making you weaker as opposed to dealing like outright just like incredible damage. So you can see here, like it's not like she is devastating like Gabriella is as a AoE attacker in general. Okay, we're going to lose Algath here, but that's okay. I just wanted to show her skill one more time. And so she is going to make it harder for them to do mana gain. She's going to cause them to bleed, and she is also going to deal damage overall as well. And so she's a little bit of everything, but if you're up against opponents that generally are focused on healing, well, this is going to make it a little bit harder. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what you can do if you combine the skills and used a someone like Mrs. Claus that's going to do reduced resistance and also reduced defense. Now you can see that Scorpius was able to deal a little bit more damage, and she's also able to apply her negative stats pretty easily. And so she's not going to be like your typical like big hitter, like immediate one-shot kill type hero, but she's going to be effective. She's going to make it harder for you to be able to get your healing in, get your mana in, and all in a while you're going to see her just dealing damage to you over time. And so she is still really good. Like she's kind of like her name suggests, like a Scorpius, like a scorpion. She kind of stinks. And so that is her in a nutshell, and that wraps up the 3 heroes for this showcase. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up the video with a matchup where I combine the different heroes from all the heroes that we know, all the legend heroes from the Stellar Dynasty faction, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use our skills here. So we're going to go and protect Zarkon, as he is the dark hero in here, and then we're going to get everybody to have decreased defense, and let's see if we can deal some damage with Scorpius, deal a little bit damage, and then we're going to also focus on hitting one of the heroes here. So let's go ahead and use Capri and just basically stun and attack, and we can actually knock out one of them. And so this is what it's going to be like, and we're going to go ahead and continue on and basically move on and see how much we can protect our Zarkon with the the protective shield that we put on here. And now the amount of bleed that we've placed on them does help, because we will end up taking them out. And so it's the same as how you would play any hero combination, except that what we have here is the amount of heal that we get, I think, from Virgo is the one that is extremely strong. I think that the fact that Capri can ignore taunt, or can ignore taunt, or can ignore basically provoke, I think that is the part that is also extremely strong. And then with Scorpius is the fact that you can't heal effectively, right? So I think each of these heroes, that is what sort of makes them stand apart a little bit, in that each of them has a little something that just makes it that much more difficult to deal with as an opponent. And that's where they get a leg up. And that is why they're saying that it's much more difficult to obtain. All right, and you can only obtain them from astral scrolls, as mentioned in the beginning of the video. But here it is. Like, here are the three heroes combined. I think that each of them have their own strengths, and for sure, if you use all three, for sure, it's going to be really strong. But I think that you really should think of this as they are great complements to the existing heroes that we have. Like, do I think that they're going to take over and become the only heroes that you use? Probably not. I still think that depending on who you combine them with, that's really sort of the key here. And there's still a lot of heroes here that we that we can have a lot of use for. But I do think that these heroes are extremely strong. So I probably wouldn't even be surprised. I'm not sure if they may even consider balancing it a little bit, because I could just see that this being extremely hard to deal with in campaign, in arenas, for example. But here it is. This is the combination of the three heroes, together. You've seen their skills, you see how strong they are, and this is what it's like. And this is the legendary heroes. For this particular video, I'm going to come back with another video to talk about the epics. Same format, we're going to play them, and then we're going to test out their various skills, and then talk about them as well. So that's going to be it for me for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next episode. Bye now.